Hi guys, I'm Rachel Carr, I'm a GB climbing coach, and today I'm going to be teaching you a few ways to keep your forearms healthy and injury free. So before I actually start on what we're going to be doing, it's probably best that I explain why. Right now, a lot of you are probably doing a lot of very intense training either on a fingerboard or a board or outside, and your fingers aren't probably getting conditioned very well because you're not doing a huge amount of volume. So these exercises are designed to get that conditioning into your forearms, keep them balanced and keep them from getting injured for the amount of training you can do so that you can keep up with the amount that you're doing. The first one we're going to be looking at is going to be fingers, and for each of these exercises we're going to work on balance, which means we're going to be doing the flexion and the extension of each of our joints and areas of the arm. So the first one we're going to do, like I said, is fingers, and we're going to do finger curls. That's much like your tendon glides that I've shown you in the warm-up video, but we're going to try and do them with a little bit of weight and try and get a little bit pumped when we're doing this. So the way we're going to do this is using those portable fingerboards that I've shown you before. If you don't have one of these, you can actually just use the weights themselves. If you have some kettlebells or if you have something that has a handle on it to be the weight, these are really useful as long as you've got about a pad's worth of grip on there so it's nice and easy. And you're just going to extend your fingers all the way out with the weight and then try and pull the weight to touch your hand before releasing it back down again. And that's that sort of curl movement. And you're going to do about 15 to 20 reps of these depending on how much weight you're using, or you might not be using any weight at all. But just trying to get pumped and doing a few sets of those to get a little bit of exercise into your forearms. Okay, so as I said before, we need to work on the balance for all of these exercises. We've now done the pulling in motion of our fingers and we're going to work on the extending motion now. And to do this, we're just going to use either a hairband or an elastic band or a TheraBand, anything you can find that works. And you're just going to put it around your fingers like this, and then you're just going to extend your hand. And you can do this in different hand positions. You just need to extend your fingers and try and feel it down the back of your hands and your forearms. And just do it until you feel a bit of a burn, and then do a couple sets of that. So now we've done the finger focused exercises, we're going to try and move on to our wrist and our forearm specifically. So we're going to do a very similar thing to what we've just done, except instead of moving our fingers, we're going to try and just move our wrist in this. So this is going to really target the forearm muscles and the wrist extensors in this. And we're just going to try and do the same thing again. So we're going to try and pull our wrist this way, and then we're going to try and switch it and pull the other way, and we're even going to do some rotations. Okay, so for the next few exercises you're going to need a couple things. You're going to need a weight or a TheraBand, and you're going to need a surface that you can lean on. Now the point of this surface is to make sure that you keep your forearm down in all of these exercises and don't bend at your elbow. We're only trying to bend at your wrist. So keep an eye on that when you're doing these. And we're just going to do exactly what we did with our fingers but with our wrists. So we're going to start firstly with our arm up and keeping that forearm down, just pulling in, making sure that we're not raising up like this, just moving that wrist, and then we're going to do the opposite of flipping it around, again keeping that forearm down and just pulling those knuckles back. And it's really tempting on this one to try and pull your knuckles as far back as possible and you end up lifting up, but we're trying to focus on just using these muscles here. So pushing into your forearm here and flexing back with that wrist. And again you're trying to do about 15 to 20 reps of each of those, or until you get a little bit pumped and complete a few sets for this session. Okay, and for our final exercise today, we're going to need something a little bit different. You can do this with a dumbbell where you can take the weights off one end so that it's top heavy, or you can just do this with a hammer. And we're going to do something very similar of keeping your forearm on that surface, but instead of going up and down, we're now just going to rotate from side to side. And you're just going to do a few reps of that again until you feel it start to work, trying to do it slow and controlled, not dropping it down on either side, and trying to hover it a few seconds at either end and going to whatever your range of motion is. So if you can only go to a certain point, take it to there and then hold it and come back again, but make sure it's controlled the whole time. And the final thing we need to do to make sure that our forearms stay nice and healthy is make sure that they stay loose by doing a little bit of stretching at the end of this session. All you're going to do is try and hold these stretches for about 30 seconds, try not to overextend your arms at all, so keep a nice little bend in them to keep soft elbows, and just see if you can progress by getting your hands as flat as possible and getting them a little bit further away from you every time. That is all my tips for you today, guys. Make sure you keep up with these as often as possible because they're so useful for keeping those forearms balanced, but also for things like tennis and golfer's elbow and keeping away any pain that you might have. So if you keep up with them and do them as often as you do your regular training, then hopefully you can try and stay injury free. If you have any questions about any of this, pop them in the comments below, and if you want to see any of our other videos, as always, head to Team BMC on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.